What's up YouTube? This is Coach Donny with ElevateYourself.org. In this video we'll talk about spiking footwork as a middle blocker, and this video was suggested by Walid Garhal, so thank you so much for this video suggestion. I teach a 3-step spiking approach, and if you haven't watched the Improving Your Spiking Footwork video, please click the link up here because a lot of the techniques and terminology I'll be using is referenced in that video. For outside hitters, we talked about making sure that you face the setter, so you're actually 90 degrees relative to the setter. In the last video for right side attackers, we talked about facing the net, so you're actually parallel to the net. When you're spiking from the middle, whether you're hitting a 1 or 2 or maybe a pipe, you actually want your chest to be 45 degrees relative to the net. The reason being is because if you open up too much, you cannot hit beyond your left shoulder. Right? The most you can hit is straight when I rotate. I can hit everything to my right, great. If I don't open up at all, I can only hit to my left, but I cannot hit to the right of my body, otherwise it'll be very weak, and that's bad for your shoulder. So you want to open up 45 degrees to give yourself just enough angle and just enough cross body as middle, because you have to split the court 50-50 and be able to hit both directions. As always, for all the volleyball techniques, it's very important to get your feet to the ball first before you worry about what to do with your upper body and where to spike. In general, when you're spiking as a middle, you always want to be about arm's length away from your setter and also arm's length away from the net. So if I swing all the way through, I'm not going to hit the net. And also if I swing all the way through, I'm not going to hit the setter either. And also that gives you a comfortable distance for your setter to be able to see you where you're setting, whereas if you're too close, you're going to suffocate them and they're going to have to set you at a vertical angle versus at a little bit flatter angle, which is a little bit easier to hit. You want to start your approach the same way as any other hitter, on the 10-foot line or slightly behind it. Now for middles, you don't always have the luxury to load as deep as possible, so you actually might have to develop a 2-step approach or a very abbreviated 3-step approach. Wherever you are as a middle, whether you just finished blocking or you're waiting somewhere in serve-receive, very important to go to the same spot over and over again. And I teach my middles to make sure that we load right in the middle, just behind the 10-foot line. And that's a good starting point to adjust to any variation in the pass or if the setter has to move left or right. As a middle, you're going to hit 3 types of sets. You might hit a shoot, or also called a 3, a 1, or a back 1. 2 considerations for middle spiking footwork that you have to keep in mind to be an effective middle blocker. The first is where you load as a middle. The second one is where you're turning your feet so your body is facing the right direction based on the set. The first one I'll talk about is how to load for a 1, and we talked about loading in the middle of the court and facing 45 degrees relative to the net. And you see how my arm is arm's length away from the net and arm's length away from the setter so I don't hit the net. So 45 degrees so I can hit angle and I can hit cross body. If I want to hit a shoot, I just have to load wider and actually treat it almost like a 4, where I'm open 90 degrees because I'm almost at the outside hitter spiking point. So majority of where I'll be facing is actually to the right of me, not to the left of me. So this one you can open up all the way and face the setter and be 90 degrees relative to the net. If I load to the left and I open up all the way facing the setter, angle, straight ahead.
Lovely play, too quick.
If I'm hitting the back one, it's very close to hitting a 5 where I'm facing the net, parallel to the net, because there's no reason for me to hit beyond my right shoulder. I can hit straight ahead, or I can hit across my body, which is going to be rotating to majority of the court, because my approach is now translated to the right as well as the set. So I shift my approach to the right, and I jump square to the net so I can hit slightly away from my body, straight ahead, or rotate hard across my body, which is going to be majority of the court, like we talked about. As a middle, it's also important to develop maybe a two-step approach where I start with my right foot back, then it's just a quick two-step. Because you might not always have time to load when the game is going very quickly, or maybe the dig is fast, you're still landing, you want to be able to still be ready and not have to take your full approach. So if you do want to work on your two-step approach, make sure you start with your right foot back and just do your last two steps. And this is what it looks like for all three sets. Because my approach is shorter, I can actually start in front of the 10-foot line. Right foot back. Now for the shoot. For the back one. So that's the footwork I recommend to improve your spiking as a middle blocker. We went over 3 types of sets. The shoot set, or the 3, the front one, and the back one. And the 2 things to keep in mind is to make sure that you change your location based on where you're hitting. And also you want to make sure that your chest is facing the appropriate angles based on where you're hitting. For the one, it's going to be 45 degrees relative to the net. For the shoot, it's going to be 90 degrees. For the back one, it's going to be parallel to the net. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you have any other video suggestions regarding volleyball, athletic training, or fitness, please leave your video suggestions in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video.